Hi folks, and thanks for joining us at Freedom Forest, our 3 acres in the southeast of England, where we are very nearly self-sufficient in all of our food needs. And as we move into September now and closer to autumn, this marks a clear shift for me in how I spend my time here. It's all about harvesting, using and preserving all of the beautiful, abundant crops that our land has provided us from here on for me. So I take a step back from the gardening at this time of year and just let things be a little bit more. It's a very welcome and natural feeling shift at this time of year, I feel. And particularly this year, as we have been keeping our gardens in tip-top shape, as we have just had a very special visitor, which I will share more about later on in this video. The next harvest that we'll be taking from the food forest is the remainder of the apricots from this tree here. And I'm hoping to make up either some apricot jam, or I'm thinking an apricot chutney might be really nice. And we tend to use chutneys more than we do jams. And then over the next couple of weeks, we are going to have a lot of apples to harvest. And some of those I will make up into a batch of apple cider vinegar, which I do every year. And then also our autumn raspberries are just getting going. So hopefully we'll have an abundance of those, and I'll be using them in everything I can. And I'm sure we'll be freezing lots of them as well. We've grown amaranth for the first time this year, and I am pretty sure it is getting very close to being ready to harvest. So one of the jobs that we really need to start looking into is the process of harvesting and saving the grain from this beautiful plant. And we have really enjoyed having it in this area this year. It is definitely something I'll be growing again, just for its beautiful structure, even if we don't get a good harvest from it. But I'm really hoping that we do. We just need to have a look and do some learning about the next step for this. So if anybody's got any tips on harvesting amaranth, then be sure to let us know in the comments down below. We would massively appreciate that. So all of these frames here are beans that we grow to dry, and they are coming on really well. We've got Greek gigantes here at the start, and they produce an absolutely massive butter type bean, which we really enjoy. And then between all of these beans, we've got something which I always forget to talk about, but it is looking amazing this year. So I really wanted to get it into one of our videos. And that is all of this beautiful Lush ochre. And as you can see, this ochre is creating an amazing living ground cover, and it also provides us with a really nice small tuber that we can harvest in winter. Normally we harvest this around December to January time. And last year when I was harvesting, I noticed that we had one particular colour. It was an orangey colour, and the tubers had grown much bigger than any of the pink ones, which we had a majority of. Now I don't know what the variety was called, unfortunately, of this orange tuber, but I made a point of planting back as much of this orange variety as possible. So hopefully we are going to have a really good harvest from this ochre this year with nice sized tubers. And the other interesting thing I'll be sharing later on when it comes to harvest is a comparison between how it grew in the ground and in pots this year, as at the beginning of the season I put some of this orange ochre into pots as well. I would say it's grown through its cycle a lot quicker, but the plants are not looking anywhere near as lush and healthy as these ones here in the ground. Okay, so one of the things which has been a complete disaster for us this year in this tunnel, or at least so far, is our tomatoes. We have got about 20 tomato plants in here, and we had an initial flush of tomatoes from the ones that set fruit early in the season, but then nothing has set fruit through the middle of these plants. And the only tomatoes we've really been getting from here is this cherry tomato, Sun Gold, which thank goodness we have. Otherwise, all of these tomatoes would be pretty much a write-off in here, which is a real shame for the amount of growing space they take up. I haven't given up hope completely on our tomatoes yet, as they did do something similar last year and we did still get some late crops from them. But I seem to recall we had more fruit setting by this time, but fingers crossed. I have got a few ideas as to what I think could be going on with these tomatoes. I think some of it is to do with peaks of heat that we get, which shock them. And I think some of it could be to do with watering. Maybe just the fact that they actually need more water when they're in times of shock. So we're going to be trying a few things next year. Maybe put in some shade net on the roof to help bring the temperature down a little bit for them, or maybe growing some vines that would give a live-in shade. And I'm also going to think about changing the watering regime a little bit. Tomatoes that we've got in our tunnel next door, it's always a late variety that we grow in there, and they are forming up nicely. They are on the same watering regime, which is interesting, but they are a completely different variety to what we have in here. So we have got lots going on in these beds here. At the top, we have got this beautiful mat of sweet potatoes, which is companion planted with taro. And we'll be sharing more about our sweet potatoes and how our harvest goes this year in some videos really soon. And then moving down, we have got our main pumpkin patch, or winter squash, and sweet corns. And we have got quite a lot of good sized squashes forming up in here that I've been spotting over the last couple of weeks as the vines are beginning to die back now. And that is completely normal for this time of year, so I'm not worried about how the vines are looking at all. We've got quite a few big varieties, and then we've also got Hugh Chikikuri, which is a smaller variety of squash. You can see some a bit more clearly over here. And these are actually the earliest maturing of the squash that we grow. And as you can see, these vines have nearly died back completely. So we will start harvesting these pumpkins probably around the middle to end of September. These smaller ones definitely around the middle of September, and then we'll see how everything goes with the bigger pumpkins and squash that we've got in this bed. And this variety here is Jumbo Pink Banana. It is definitely living up to its name, and this is by far the biggest winter squash we have ever grown, and we've got at least 3 of them which are a similar size to this year. That is crazy, absolutely crazy. Our sweet corn and also our flower corn, however, is not so much of a happy story. And as you can see here and here, we have lost a huge amount of our corn this year. We went away and left the land alone completely for 5 days, which is something we have not done since we have been growing this much food. And when we came back, we noticed a lot of our corn had been stripped. Now, we have seen this in the past on our corn, usually on our flower corn when it's been left to dry out till quite late in the season. And we've assumed that it's been rats in the past. But when we got back, we caught the squirrels in action, and they have been loving our corn. They started off on the flower corn, which is nearly all gone now, and then they moved to the sweet corn, it would seem. We did manage to get one good harvest of quite a lot of corns, which I've blanched and frozen what we couldn't eat. But we're going to be lucky if we get many more corns before the squirrels find the right ones, because now they know they are here, it is really difficult to stop them. So this is our Three Sisters bed, as you can see, as we have beans that grow up the sunflowers as well. So actually it's Four Sisters when you include the sunflowers too. And we've read a story before about a particular Native American tribe that used to have girls that would sing and guard the crops when they got close to harvest time. And looking at the experience we have had with our corn this year and a little bit last year, I can see why they did this. So we are super excited to have the infamous Hugh Richards with us here at Freedom Forest today. And Hugh, tell us what your first impressions are of Freedom Forest.
The first impressions was, I just love the fact that every single time you turn a corner, there's like a new space or like a new room to enjoy. And so we're walking through and you're like, oh, but you haven't seen this. And we just turned the corner. I was like, what? And yeah, it's just amazing, really. It's just all of these different nooks and crannies and rooms that you've created. And yeah, it's abundant. It feels luscious. You would have no idea that this was like a wasteland before. Yeah. You guys have worked really, really hard. And there's been some surprises. I think I've learned a few things that I'm going to be taking back with me.
Yeah, the secrets of Freedom Forest.
Yeah, you'll see them in my garden next.
I hope you have enjoyed seeing this little update today on how our land is looking as we move into autumn and seeing what we're going to be harvesting through September. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to click the thumbs up button, as this really helps us. We love hearing from you guys in the comments down below as well, so drop us any comments or questions. Make sure you're subscribed to Freedom Forest Life to see more videos like this, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks for watching. Peace and plants.